Welcome to a special presentation of Sellout Crowd, Conversations with Coach. I'm Bob Stoops, and I'm taking time to talk with friends and colleagues in the sports world to get caught up and share stories. Today, I'm joined by a longtime friend, Hal Mumme, my 2020 offensive coordinator with the Dallas Renegades at that time. We're the Arlington Renegades now, but Dallas Renegades back in those days. Let me read all the places. This isn't even all of them, Hal, but I've got all the places Hal has been a coach. Iowa Wesleyan, Valdosta State. I met you at University of Kentucky in 97, your first year. Southeastern Louisiana, New Mexico State, McMurray University, Belhaven University, and known as the father of the air raid. So Hal, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time. Good to be with you.
It's always great to be with you, Bob. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to telling some stories here.
Well, we go back. I started knowing you back when you were the head coach at Kentucky. I'm trying to deal with the air raid offense as a defensive coordinator, pulling my hair out, going for it on fourth down, picking up every third down. You guys were really hard to deal with. So talk about before we get into me trying to hire Mike, talk about that experience there at Kentucky when you first got there and not all that experience there at Kentucky.
Well, it was a lot of fun. C.M. Newton was a great athletic director and a great man, besides that, and a great basketball coach in his time. And he wanted to, you recall they had Rick Pitino doing, running up and down the court and pressing every play. And he wanted something similar on football. And they had Tim Couch, and they didn't want Tim to leave. Tim was probably going to transfer if they didn't make a change. And so he came and interviewed me, and sometimes God just opens doors for you. It was kind of an impossible deal to jump from Division II to the SEC, but it did happen, and we had a great amount of success there. But it was a lot of fun, and Mike was with me for 10 years, and so that was our last 2 years together, with the first two at Kentucky.
I'm going to go ahead and steal them from you at Kentucky. But ahead of that, because you just brought up how long Mike was with you, talk about the years back at Iowa Wesleyan, and you got Dana Holgerson and Bill Biedenbaugh. They were players for you.
They were good players for us. Bill was our starting center the last couple of years, and Dana was a starting wide receiver for, I think he caught about 150 balls while he was there.
He's one of those slot receivers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he was kind of played in the slot, and he played out wide too. He was a pretty versatile guy, really. Mike and I went there together. I hired Mike in 1989 when I got that job, mainly because nobody else wanted it. He was making $6,000 a year coaching defensive ends at the College of the Desert, and he heard about this guy that wanted to run a BYU type offense, and so he sent me a resume. It was one of two resumes I got. Nobody else wanted to go there. When in the old days you used to get those pink slips, Bob.
Yeah.
When you got a job, you have all these pink slips piled up on your desk of people wanting jobs.
Yeah, so still happens.
Yeah. Well, so I go through all the pink slips. Well, there's only two guys that wanted a job. All the rest of them were ADs, and they wanted to play us for homecoming. So Mike's one of the two that applies. So we get to talking, and you've had those phone conversations with Mike. They never last more than 2 hours.
Yeah. That's on the low end.
Yeah, so he's like calling me every other day, wanting the job, and I offered it to him, and I said, look, let's meet at BYU, and we'll watch spring practice, and we'll see if we like each other, and we did, and so I said, now look, you got to do one more thing for me. You got to come back, and you got the job. I'm going to hire you because it's in my contract. I get to hire the staff, but you got to go through this dog and pony show on campus. And so he he drives over there with Sharon and all the way to Iowa from Utah, and and he goes through the day. And typical of Mike, he dressed up for the occasion. He's got on like wrinkled uh, khaki pants, no
Cargo
socks,
pants,
some
cargo
old
pants, and
loafers,
flip
and
flops.
like a Hawaiian shirt or something, you know. And so he goes around. He meets with the dean of students, and he meets with the AD, and he meets with vice presidents and all kinds of people, committees, and all this stuff. And towards the end of the day, the AD sticks his head in my office, and I look at him. I go, "Well, you know, how's he doing?" He goes, "Nobody likes him. Nobody. He doesn't seem like a football coach." I said, "Well, screw you. I'm going to hire him anyway." So
Well, and we want to talk a lot about Mike because Mike is being inducted into the Ring of Honor at Texas Tech. So, fortunately, the leadership there throughout the university realizes what he contributed and how awesome he was at Texas Tech. And by
that's
the way, he's going into the Ring of Honor with Cliff Kingsbury, who's
awesome.
also going in, and I'm going to have Cliff on after you.
Oh,
But
great.
but anyway, so we're I know Sharon, Mike's wife Sharon, and the kids are all going to be there, which is great. Talk about you and Mike and how you guys got started and how you invented the air raid offense, and maybe that trip down to Key West
Well,
as
that
well.
trip to Key West was really a key to what is now known as the air raid. And we decided after 2 years at Wesleyan, we got so good so fast nobody would play us. So all the little liberal arts colleges in the Midwest, they didn't want us to be their homecoming game anymore. They wanted to get us off the schedule. So
Yeah,
we ended up playing all these schools like Portland State and Northeast Missouri, all these big kind of what now are FCS schools, most of them. Uh, well, I told Mike it was February, and I said we need to do what we always do when we need an idea. I said we got the best team coming back we've ever had, but we may not win but 3 games. And I said we need a road trip. I said find somebody in Florida to recruit. Let's go down there and visit with some people. And so Mike, being Mike, he finds a kicker in Key West. We always wanted to go to Key West because we're huge Jimmy Buffett fans. And so we fly down there, and we only had enough money to fly to Orlando, so then we had to rent a car and drive to Key West. Well, as fate would have it, the great Don Matthews, who ended up winning about 7 Grey Cups in Canada, was coaching a spring league team in Orlando. So we went by practice because Mike knew one of the coaches, and so he said, "Let's go watch them practice." I said, "Sure." So we go over there, and Coach Matthews was great to us. He let us hang out the whole day with the team, and we're walking out to practice, and he says, "I said, Coach, what's your best drill?" And I thought he was just going to give me like a quarterback drill or something. And he goes, "Oh, watch. The best thing we do is bandit drill at the end of practice." I said, "Well, what's that?" And he goes, "Well, that's where we practice our 2-minute offense." And so we're standing there, and I'd seen 2-minute offenses before, but I'd never seen them this well organized. And Mike and I are watching it, and they got, defense on one sideline, offense on the other, and they got the kickers and the punters spotting the ball up and down the field, and they're just playing about as fast as you can play, and the way they practiced it was so good. And I looked at Mike and I said, "Well, that's our answer right there. That's what we're going to do." And he goes, "Yeah, we're going to do it all the time, aren't we?" I go, "Yeah, it's not going to be 2-minute offense. This is going to be our offense." So we took it back to Iowa Wesleyan and put it in, and went through the spring with it. And our quarterback, Dustin Dewall, who was really a great player, at the end of spring, I said, "Well, how do you like it?" And he goes, "Everybody hates it." I go, "Why?" And he goes, "It's just too complicated." And I said, "Well, do me a favor. Let's do 1 week during 2-a-days, and if you still hate it then we'll drop it." So all summer long, Mike and I had spent the summer cutting back our playbook. And because Dustin really just hated it because he had too many options. So we just boned it down to the very minimal plays that we could get away with and that he was comfortable with.
Mike
And
was very diligent about not having too many plays.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if we had a new idea, our rule was, okay, if we put something new in, we got to drop something.
Yep.
So we come back for 2 days and we go through the week. And at the end of the week, I asked D-Wall, and I said, "Do you like it?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, everybody loves it. We're gonna win a lot of games with this." So the first game of the year, we had to play Northeast Missouri, which was a Division two, basically a division above us, and ranked number 10 in the nation. And we're walking into the locker room, and D-Wall walks up to me and goes, "You don't have to say anything to them. We're going to win." And I'm looking around, Bob. I'm kind of thinking 48-14 is more realistic on their side. And but I walk in the locker room, and the team, they didn't act like a team that was down by 3 scores. They act like a team that was ahead by 3 scores.
They got it.
They understood it, and they knew that Northeast Missouri was wore out, and we came back and beat them and won the game. It's still probably the best win that school ever had, and it was just amazing. We won 10 games, went to the quarterfinals of the NAIA playoffs, got beat in minus 10 degree weather at Morehead State, but it was the only time in history that school, over 100 years of football history, that school made the national playoffs.
That's awesome.
And then we got the job at Valdosta, and then from there, Kentucky. Yep. Basically, at Valdosta, we were there 5 years, and we got to repeat the process twice.
Let me ask you this, Hal.
Yeah.
So I call you up. I remember talking to you and Mike Leach, of course, ahead of our Florida-Kentucky game, complimenting on what a difficult offense it is to deal with. And then 2.5, 3 years later, I get the job at Oklahoma. And I've been thinking about what I want to do. Then finally I call you and I said, can Mike be that guy in front of a room, in front of a team, in front of an offense, and be the leader, to conduct a really, high-powered offense? And you didn't hesitate. You go, absolutely. And, because
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, but
he's been ready for about 5 years.
You were absolutely correct.
Yeah,
he was
I've been trying to get him a head job for about 5 years. You were the first guy that wasn't on my staff to run our offense.
Right.
And you were the first one to recognize it. And so that catapulted Mike's career. Plus, I think he learned a lot from you just because you were so good at OU about just how to run a program. He bragged about it all the time.
Well, we all miss Mike, and he was I just always marveled the leader he was. And even though he was a little bit, he wasn't your conventional type, but he was a leader and he was demanding, and he's a hell of a football coach.
Well, I remember when you called, it was kind of ironic you called that day because he had just been in my office and he goes, "I'm the Avis rent car of assistant coaches." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I just struck out at Middle Tennessee."
You know what's interesting? When I hired him, how my sales pitch to him was, if we do really well, you'll have a chance to be a head coach in 2 or 3 years.
Well, 9 months?
It was 9 months. He got the Tech job. And not only did he get a head coaching job, I had a deal with him at Tech.
Yeah.
How I was determined, and I made it emphatically told everybody, I am not blending and mixing offenses.
No, well, that was smart. You can't. It never worked.
No. I said, we're doing what Mike does, and that's it, and end of story. And everybody, got on board with it.
It was just a great time for him, and he deserved it so much. He's paid a lot of dues.
Yeah, no doubt.
People don't realize what most coaches go through.
And the influence Mike and you had on all of high school football as well goes on and on. Everybody started running, versions of the air raid.
After we beat Alabama that first year at Kentucky, the whole state of Alabama, every high school program there wanted to come to spring practice. So that started it. And then when Mike, certainly at OU, what y'all did turn it around, and then he goes to Lubbock. And when the Texas high schools start running it, then everybody in the nation does it. So
absolutely.
It's kind of spread like wildfire.
I appreciate you sharing some stories with us, Hal. We both love Mike and miss him dearly, and
Yeah.
pray for Sharon and the family. And I know for you too, though, all the years he was like a true brother to you. Well, anyway, I'm glad Tech is wised up, and they're going to put him in a Ring of Honor. And it's
Yeah.
neat he's going to go in the same day as Cliff Kingsbury.
That's
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 pretty
pretty
special.
awesome.
Hal, I appreciate you coming on with me.
Thanks,
Have a,
Bob. Good luck,
you
and
guys have a great day.
appreciate you having us on.
That wraps up this installment of Conversations with Coach. Follow and subscribe to this channel and visit selloutcrowd.com to find out about upcoming programs.